objective is we will compare and contrast expository and nonfiction information on the same topic after reading several passages.
And these are some of our language objectives, as you can see.
Our math objective is we will understand that the length of a line segment equals the difference of the x-coordinates.
Okay, and for our language arts assessment, we used Study Island and created a nice compare and contrast test with 10 questions. For math, we used the ExamView test generator from the math curriculum we have, and it worked out really nice because our standard uses coordinate grids. It actually had some nice problems that had the grids all nicely set up for the exact standard we needed. And then for effective instructional strategies, we used a lot of teacher-created PowerPoint lessons, and it was nice because we used some that introduced the actual concept, and then we had ones that integrated compare and contrast into the other subjects, and so we had a variety to choose from. And for response to intervention, we actually taught across the curriculum, so we integrated the compare and contrast into science, writing, social studies, and math.
Students increase their comprehension by watching videos of eruptions on Google of Mount St. Helens, Mount Kilauea in Hawaii, and Mount Etna in Sicily. Then they use the information to compose sentences with the compare and contrast word banks.
We use volcanoes to learn about compare and contrast. We compared and contrasted the shield volcano of Mount Kilauea of Hawaii, the composite volcano of Mount St. Helens of Washington, and we also compared the cinder cone volcano, Mount Etna of Sicily.
Some of the writing tools that we used in our classroom were the Venn diagrams and the sentence frames. We also made word banks for comparing and contrasting, and we folded them into terminology towers.
We use sentence frames like these to compare and contrast.
After building solid figures in a geometry lesson, fourth graders compared and contrasted two of those figures. They contrasted the number of vertices, bases, and edges, and then wrote paragraphs about their similarities and differences.
All right, Sophia, so what are you comparing and contrasting?
I'm going to be comparing and contrasting a cube and a cone.
Very cool. And Micah?
I'm contrasting a triangle prism and a square pyramid.
Very cool. And in the group for social studies, we actually compared and contrasted two different cultures, and so we focused on Germany and Cuba. And so I showed two videos that were really engaging for the students and really taught them a lot about the world outside of their own little bubble, if you will, and the cultures. And we had some really great discussions afterwards, and they really used those signal words for compare and contrast and those sentence frames for our discussions. And then we read little essays on each country, and we discussed those and looked for the comparing and contrasting elements of that, And then the students themselves were creating their own compare and contrast questions from those essays.
We've been using YouTube videos to compare and contrast different countries and cultures like Germany and Cuba. And next is Cuba.
And so for our results, for language arts, you can see we got 63 out of 118 students passed the first time after 2 weeks of instruction, which we were kind of happy with because it's not usually that high, but we actually had some good quality teaching in those 2 weeks. And then for post-assessment, we had 88 students out of 117 pass, which is 75% of our students. And there are the number of students. So 88 out of 117 are proficient. And then for math, we had, for our initial assessment, 74 out of 117 pass. And for our post-assessment, 100 out of 117 passed, which is 85% of our fourth graders. And there are the number of students. So as you can see, there's 100 out of 117 passing, with 26 students growing from our initial assessment there. And for reflections, I think we did a better job with deconstructing the standard. It seems like the last few cycles we were kind of experimenting a lot and going in over our heads, and so this time around we kept it simple. And then also time was probably the biggest factor. We were given more time to focus on our key standards, research them, and then spend time connecting them with other standards, and then also working with Martha Reyes and her doing a lot of the footwork for us and the tedious stuff that normally we don't have time for. And then so we actually spent more time teaching the concept and building on it, not wasting so much time on the curriculum that is lacking in those key standards. And then also the constant repetition and integrating it into other subjects really helps. And then we used a variety of teaching methods to reach all learners, as you saw in the videos. And then that left us with more time with small group instruction, because there were so many students that were getting it and they could work independently. That gave us more time with those students that needed the extra help. And for next steps, we're going to teach those big standards, teach them well and constantly, make connections throughout the year and build on acquired knowledge, build and organize those educational resources, and stay focused.